and share screen.
Here, I'll text Jocelyn real quick.
Okay. Maybe he forgot.
No, he said he'd just be late.
Yeah. All right. Well, he'll get it. We'll get him on here. And he'll also be able to go back and look at, if depending on how long it takes to get here. So tonight we're going to talk about your brain and performance. Okay. How the things that we do, some of those missing links that we talked about, how they affect your brain and how your brain affects performance. Okay. And recognizing the importance of a holistic approach. So whole person approach to performance, not just the physical part and the tactical, learning how to play the game. You're a whole person, right? So we look at it from we're people first. Before we play baseball and do all those other things in our lives, but we're people first. So we want to make sure that we build stronger people, not just strong baseball players, but strong people who are strong baseball players. Because if we build stronger people, we get stronger baseball players, stronger students, stronger workers, right? Who are set up for long-term success in their lives, in your lives. Okay. And then we're going to talk a little bit about self-care. Does that stuff make sense to you? Okay. All right. So like I said, this is your brain here, all of you right here. You're strengthening your brain the last 5 weeks and every day in school. All right. Today we're going to talk about sleep, nutrition, hydration, exercise. We're going to blow over that one because you guys are already doing that. We'll just talk quickly about the importance of it, and rest and recovery, and then self-care. Okay. This is just something that it's from a few years ago now, but Justin Verlander, they called him the sleep guru. Okay. And you guys can read this if you want, but what he did, and one of the things that he said about his longevity, because the guy's still pitching now, is that he started focusing on how much sleep he was getting. Okay. He gets, yeah, I mean, it says he gets 50% more than the average American, but whatever that is, 6.8 hours. I don't know what you guys are getting. And I'll show you kind of the sleep averages for your age. And we're going to talk about why sleep is so important. And one of the things is that Alex Bregman, he's, pretty successful dude. I know that the Astros have a little asterisk beside them, but regardless, he's still an amazing player. Always shows up. And one of the things that he contributes to his success is now that he started talking to Justin Verlander, Bregman really makes sure that he gets the optimal amount of sleep. And he says at least 10 hours a night, every night. Because what happens too is you get older and you're, and I used to say it too. It's like, oh, I'll sleep when I'm dead, and just push through everything and push through and push through and whatever, I don't need to sleep. But really, if you truly want to give yourself the best chance to be successful, sleep is the most underutilized, readily available performance enhancer that we have. I don't know if you guys ever notice, but on a day when you don't get a lot of sleep, or you got to wake up for school and you stayed up super late and you're goofing around on your phone or whatever, and you stayed up late and then you had to get up really early, and you wake up and it's like, oh my God, I can't believe I got to get up. Like you almost feel sometimes like maybe you have like a sickness or something, right? You're just so tired. You don't feel normal. You got brain fog. And that's because of the sleep, right? The good quality sleep. So I'm going to show you, there's some things that you can do to help get you on track with sleep, if that is something that you wake up sometimes and you don't feel great. And we'll talk about why we sleep and what happens when we sleep as well. Okay, just so you understand a little more. But I'm going to show you this little video. It's just Alex Bregman talking about sleep.
Do you have like a sort of, especially on game day, like a morning
You guys hear
routine
that?
to sort of like prep you for the game?
Well, it's changed over the years too. It's been it first started like wake up super early, try and go to breakfast, and then just go immediately to the field at like 11 a.m. And kind of be there for 3 hours when no one was there, and just kind of just relax and watch some video on the pitcher we're gonna face the next day. Until this year in like June, and I was feeling a little tired like early in the year, and Verlander actually came up to me and he's like, "Hey bro, how much do you sleep at night? You look tired." And I was like, "Sleep like 7-8 hours." And he's like, "Bro, you need to be sleeping 10 to 12 hours." I was like,
Yeah.
"Really?" He goes, "Yeah." So like the first 2 weeks of trying to sleep 10 hours is like sleep
Sounds
7
hard.
and then try and go force yourself back to bed and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So for that first month I was working on it, but probably June, July, I was getting 10 hours a night, waking up at like 11 a.m., eating breakfast, hanging out with my friends, family, whoever's in town. I always got a crew in town with me.
Nice.
It's the best. It's the best. Hang out with them, eat some lunch, and then go to the field around like 1:30. And performance skyrocketed since I started to sleep. So I'm a believer now, and I think every time I need some advice on the staying healthy, staying on the field, I always ask Verlander. He seems to know, and he's like one of those Tom Brady, LeBron guys that are getting better
Yeah.
as they get older.
Right. Yeah, he's been doing it for so long. He's been dominant for so long.
All right. I mean, that's the only reason why I wanted to show you that. But, he is talking about how his performance increased just by getting sleep, right? Because there's so many things that happen while we sleep. And we're going to go over that and why it's so important, okay? So we're going to just kind of look at why we sleep. Does anyone actually know why we sleep? Like, really, if you think about, like, why do we sleep?
For our bodies to like grow.
Because we're tired.
Because you're tired, yes. But I'll show you some other reasons why and what happens. Hopefully you'll kind of, when I learned all this stuff years ago, and, it's kind of like, I was kind of blown away. I never thought about why I slept. I just slept, right? And know that, I didn't feel very good. I didn't get a good sleep, or I did get a good sleep. But all these amazing things happen in your body while we sleep. The sleep myth, how sleep affects your performance. And then I'm going to share some keys, some tools for you to get a successful restorative sleep if you're not sleeping. How is everyone's sleep? Everyone's sleep okay? Do you wake up in the middle of the night? Anyone? You sleep right through? For the most part? When you're younger, tendency is that you do get better sleeps. As you get older, we don't. Especially if you're not drinking like a bunch of caffeine and stuff like that. That's what really can disrupt your sleep. But anyways, hopefully you're not drinking a lot of that yet. Okay, so why do we sleep? It is kind of a mystery why we sleep. And sometimes some sleep doctors out there. I was listening to a podcast with Andrew Huberman, and this sleep doctor guru guy was just saying, maybe, our purpose here on earth is to actually sleep, and awake is only, we kind of reverse it. So sleep is the most important thing, and awake is not as important. So anyways, it's just kind of, there's different views on it, but it's interesting when people talk about sleep. But what we do know about sleep, we spend about a third of our lives sleeping. So if you think about, you just average, you sleep 8 hours a day, right? That's a third of the day. If it's 24 hours, 8 hours is a third of the day. So we spend a third of our lives asleep, which is quite a bit of time, right? It's essential to quality of life, is exercise and nutrition. right? It is so important for us to get good quality sleep. Sleep deprivation can cause brain fog, affects the immune system, can alter hormone levels, really because the body, and we're going to talk about it, but the body is doing all these amazing recovery, protocols when we sleep. So if we deprive our body of sleep, it can cause all these things to happen, and our body doesn't work properly, our immune system doesn't work properly, our hormone levels don't get released at the proper times. Okay, and I'll talk to you about that as well. Sleep aids in mental and physical recovery. Okay, mental health is super important, and it can help with mental health, and also your physical health and your physical recovery. Your body repairs itself while we sleep. Okay. And obviously sleep appears to be a brain focused phenomenon. Most of what happens when we sleep goes on in our brain. Okay, so when we sleep, there's sleep cycles. All right. Oops. Oh, geez. Sleep cycles. And actually, I'll go right to this. So the sleep cycle, on average, a sleep cycle lasts about 90 to 120 minutes. And it happens about 3 to 4 times a night. Okay. So there is actually stages of sleep. We don't just fall asleep and then it's just one thing. Okay. So the first stage of sleep, it's really light sleep. So when you notice you're falling, you lie down in your bed and you're kind of just lying there, and you're kind of sort of falling asleep, but you're not really, right? You're just kind of more relaxed. Everything's starting to slow down. Your muscle systems are starting to slow down. Okay, and you're starting to get a little bit more relaxed. Stage 2, and that lasts, it's pretty quick, like 5 to 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes, something like that. Stage 2, our respiration slows, our breathing slows down, heart rate really starts to slow down. Okay, and then our body starts cooling slightly. You ever feel tired and you're getting cold? Maybe you haven't been in bed yet, but you're just like getting a little bit colder. I don't know if you notice that. I do, because I'm older, but when you get tired, your body cools down. And I don't know if you ever like wake up sweating or whatever. That's because we're kind of like we've maybe used too many blankets, or we've done something before bed that has really stopped that process of our body cooling down, right? So just keep that in mind when you're going to sleep. We do want to have it cool in our bedroom, and that's good, something that we're going to talk about. Stage 3, deep sleep starts. Okay. So this is kind of light sleep over here, and then our deep sleep starts. Slow, steady brain waves with bursts of activity. So our brain, the sleep myth out there is that our brain shuts off when we go to sleep. But it's as or more active when we're asleep than when we're awake. Okay, there's all this activity starts going on. We start getting into deep, deep sleep. And stage 4, this is where the deep sleep continues, and we start to repair our body. Okay, it starts to boost our immune system. Our brain detoxifies things that we don't need anymore. And it's basically like when you have your phone and you're cleaning out your phone, or you have an upgrade on your system, your operating system, right? And you hit upgrade, it kind of gets rid of all the bugs and fixes this and fixes that and recharges everything. It's the same thing that's happening in your brain, just on a different level. Okay, and that's deep sleep. And we're pretty much, when we get into this deep sleep 4 and 5 here, that's when it's like muscle activity shuts down, and you're basically you're kind of, in a sense, you can't move, right? Your body is just It's just brain activity happening. Okay, and in this rapid eye movement stage 5, we call it REM. Have you heard of REM sleep? Yeah, there's a band called REM as well, from the 80s or 90s. Some people like them, some people don't. Rapid eye movement. Okay, so this is where we start consolidating our memories, and all the learning that we've done during the day. Okay, it gets consolidated and it kind of organizes in our brain. All right, so that's one of the big reasons why sleep is so important, is that the learning that you do, the longer you stay asleep and the more you have your 3 or 4 good cycles of sleep at night, the more your brain takes in of what you've learned and what you've done during the day, physically, mentally, at school or on the field. It really helps increase that learning that you've done by getting this sleep. And so I just wanted to show you, I'm going to show you here, I'm going to escape out of here. But I wear a Fitbit to bed. I don't know if anyone else does. But I wanted to show you, this is my Fitbit sleep cycle. So this is one night I got a really good sleep the other day. Okay. But it shows you the cycles. If you can see over here, awake, REM sleep, light sleep, and deep sleep. Okay, so I was awake for 5 minutes here, and then I fell right into I was light and then right into deep sleep for 6 minutes, and then back up into light. Okay, and then I was awake, light sleep, into REM. Okay, so these stages actually increase and decrease as the night goes on. If you can see here, I got, kind of more deep sleep later on and a little bit more REM sleep later on in my sleep than I was getting. I was just kind of in light sleep for most of the night. Right. So this is actually what's happening, and they can tell the reason why this does it. You can tell using your heart rate. Okay. Anyways, I just wanted to show you, this is actually like my reading from my sleep that I got. Does anyone have a Fitbit or wear a Fitbit or anything, a sleep monitor? All right. Anyways, it's kind of neat because I can see this every night, like how I slept. Some nights, I'll feel that I didn't get a good sleep, and I'll go look at this, my sleep state, and I'll go, oh yeah, well, I was awake, for an hour and a half in the night, and I didn't get much deep sleep, right? That deep sleep that we need, and then maybe I didn't get a lot of REM sleep as well. But anyways, it's just kind of interesting to see this stuff, that it actually does happen. All right, so those are the sleep stages, okay? So we talked about all this. One of the big things for sleep too is it's like I said, plugging in your phone, clicking an update. If you interrupt your sleep, if you get up before that sleep cycle, the sleep cycles end, it's kind of like you ever wake up, or somebody wakes you up, or you wake up to an alarm, and it's like, oh, you've interrupted that cycle, right? A lot of times if you and we'll talk about it, but if you sleep the same time roughly every day, a lot of times we'll wake up a couple minutes before our alarm kind of sets or goes off, just because we're naturally set up to do that. Okay, it's called the circadian rhythm, but I'll talk about that. If we unplug, so if we to use the phone example, if we click update, we plug our phone in, and then we unplug the phone before it's fully charged, the battery's charged, and we stop the update, what happens to the phone? I can't hear you, Caleb. Or somebody was talking. You're still on mute.
It restarts.
Battery life goes down.
Yeah, so you're not getting the best operating system because you stopped the update midway, right? You haven't fixed all the bugs and got everything out of there that's supposed to be out of there, and you got a half charged phone. It's kind of the same thing when we sleep. If that sleep gets interrupted too much, we don't have a fully charged battery, and our brain has not updated as much as it could have. Okay. That's why sleep is so important. Okay. Here's a couple things you can do. Okay. You might not want to hear some of these, especially the phone one. But if you're not getting a good sleep, okay, normalizing your sleep schedule, going to bed and waking up at roughly the same time every day. Okay, that's called our circadian rhythm. Your optimal for your age is about 8 to 10 hours, probably more if you're a bit younger. Okay, the circadian rhythm just means that we have, the more we can stay structured, the more our body adapts to what we're doing, and kind of wakes up and goes to bed at the same time every day. Okay, just easier on our body, and we get into those good sleep cycles, good restorative sleep. No technology up to an hour before bed. Okay, I know this is a tough one. I'm just saying, I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying that if you're having a hard time sleeping some nights, put the phone away, right? So, because what happens is, you're on there and we're getting that adrenaline release because we're stimulated by what's on the phone. Okay, what happens about an hour before you go to bed or go to sleep? If you have a normal sleep time, your body releases melatonin, which is a sleep hormone. Okay, if you don't go to sleep, your body goes, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to release the other hormones now that keep you awake. And then, because obviously you don't want to go to sleep. Okay, have you ever been really tired and then you kind of push through it, and then you're all of a sudden you're wide awake and it's like 2 a.m, right? That's because you push through. Like a lot of times when you've kind of been tired, we should really try and listen to that. When I'm tired, I should go to sleep. Okay, that's super important, because if we push through that, it just kind of messes up the hormone release in our body, and because our body wants us to go to sleep, right? It needs to do those things to give your brain the chance to restore itself during the night. Okay, limit caffeine before bed. I don't know if you guys are drinking caffeine. You probably maybe in some energy drinks and that kind of stuff, but it stays in your body for about 8 hours, right? So if you have some kind of caffeine about 2 p.m., it might, it's likely that it's in your system till about 10 p.m. Okay. So drinking caffeine later in the day will help keep you up longer. Okay, it doesn't give you just the boost, it gives you a little boost, but it also stays in your body, okay, for longer. So just be mindful of that. If you do have make sure you drinking a drink that is decaffeinated later on in the day. Make your room cool and dark. Okay, your body temperatures drops when we're trying to go to sleep. Okay, and trying to warm it up with a bunch of blankets and stuff can kind of disrupt the natural sleep process as well. So make it cool and dark. Think about, you want Batcave in there. Cool it down. Open a window if you need to. Parents might not want you to because they got the heat on, and they probably say, born in a barn? I don't know if you ever heard that one before, but leave the door open. Breathing exercises can trigger deep, more restorative sleep. We talked about that at the beginning. Just some slow breathing. I do one that's called 5 for 50. So we go 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out, and do that 5 times. Okay, 5 rounds. It takes 50 seconds to do that basically. 5 for 50. It just kind of slows everything down, gets you focusing on your breath. And, you know, there's a whole bunch of different breathing methods out there that you can look at too. And wind down, relax, put the phone down, maybe just read a book, like, you know, read something that's not on your phone. Tea, meditation, stuff like that, that's going to help you, you know, kind of wind down. We don't like, it's like go, 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 go. So many times we're in a rush, we're rush, rush, rush. And then we like, you know, have a shower and go into bed. And it's like, we haven't even given our body a chance to kind of like relax and just kind of wind down from the stress that we put on it during the day. Okay, that will really help you with your sleep. Anybody have any questions about sleep?
For all 5 stages to happen when you're sleeping, how many hours approximately should it be?
Well, this whole, so the sleep cycle lasts about 90, it's about 90 minutes roughly. So that's why like this whole thing happens like 3 or 4 times a night, depending on how long you sleep. So this like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 takes about 90 minutes roughly to happen. So every 90 minutes you go through all kind of 5 cycles. Right? So there's no real time in that sense other than roughly about 90 minutes or so you continually go through cycles, right?
Okay, thank you.
Throughout the night, yeah. All right, let's talk a little bit about hydration. You guys seen The Water Boy? You gotta watch this.
It's clean. It's cold. Now that's what I call high quality H2O.
Yeah, you gotta watch this movie. It's called The Water Boy. It's a Adam Sandler movie. Anyways, it's pretty funny. All right, hydration. Okay, our body, we're going to talk about how our bodies, how much water is actually in our body. Our body is made mainly up of water, believe it or not. How hydration affects performance, water versus sport drinks and energy drinks, and then 5 keys to staying hydrated. A lot of times, you guys, we are all kind of walking around in a dehydrated state. Probably have to drink more water. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit about that. The human body is 60% water. 60% water in your tissues, in your body. Up to 40 liters or 2/3 of your body weight is water. Okay. They're talking, this 40 liters is like probably for about a, you know, 180 pound person. Body water is derived from food, water that you drink, and water formed in your body tissues. We lose water when we go pee. Feces. You guys know what that is? Okay. Evaporation from the skin, which is sweating, and our lungs. Okay, when we breathe. Water is important. Evaporated water is important in cooling the body, and accounts for 1/4 of our heat loss in our body when we sweat. Okay, there is little or no water reserve in our body. We are not camels. Our body, we drink water, our body uses what it needs, and then we pee out the rest. Okay, and it's impossible for us to create a balance. Like, we can't just chug a bunch of water after, if we're dehydrated, we just chug. You know, our body needs to ease into it that way, or, you know, chug a bunch of water before we do something. It needs to be more consistent, and we'll talk about that. Water delivers nutrients to our brain, which is important because we want those nutrients to our brain because we're performing. Okay. When the brain is fully hydrated, the exchange of nutrients and toxins will be more efficient. Okay. And it just allows for better flow of those nutrients to where they need to go. Better concentration, focus, mental alertness. Have you ever been dehydrated? Does anyone know? Yeah. You can get
Yeah.
like, it's like
Yes.
brain fog and yeah, Caleb?
Yeah, I got very dizzy at baseball one time, and like mosquitoes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really important thing, you know, like it can be very damaging, especially if it's hot outside. And we're not drinking enough water and we're not being consistent in our water consumption. It can be pretty dangerous. Water is essential in hydrating the connective tissue in our body. The connective tissue, that fascia, it's kind of like when we feel stiff after, you know, we're dehydrated and we kind of feel stiff. That's that connective tissue that coats our entire body. It needs to stay hydrated and so that we can move properly as well. All right. So when we lose fluids and electrolytes, you know what electrolytes are? Yeah. Okay. So that can lead to dehydration. As little as 2 to 3% dehydrated can impact your performance. I don't know what happened to that slide, but so mild dehydration, you guys, this is probably generally, if you're going to be dehydrated, oops. Oh man, this is what is going to happen to you. Well, computer is going crazy. And even less than this. Okay, this is what you might notice first. This is the urine color chart. Okay. Oh my gosh, sorry about that, guys. The color of your pee, it's probably the easiest way for you to tell if you're dehydrated or not. Okay, we want to be in here from number 1 to 3. If we're getting into 4, 5, 6, right? And I notice if I do a hard workout or something, and I'm not hydrated, it'll be down here in 4, 5, or 6. Does anyone ever notice that? Like, no? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it happens, right? So it's a good way. It's probably the easiest way for you to understand. And then, you know, obviously that any of these things that are happening to you as you're exercising, right? You can, it's a good, you know, raise your awareness that you need to start drinking some more water, okay? So you can go through these later. We're probably not going to see this type of stuff. You know, where we live, this, you know, you could, if you're just completely, you know, going crazy with the workout and it's 105 degrees outside and you're not drinking any water, there is a chance that this stuff could happen, but it's very unlikely. We're going to probably see this stuff over here. Most likely is this here: fatigue, increased body temperature, and dark yellow urine and headache. Okay. So what can we do? Assessing your thirst. If you are thirsty, it's too late. You're already dehydrated when you're working out, right? Hydrate before your activity. Start your morning. I start my day every single day with a big glass of water. I get up, big glass of water. Think about your body as a sponge, like a dried out, you know what a dried out sponge looks like? What is it? Like, what is it? What's the texture of it? Like it's hard, you know, you can pretty much smack it on the, it's like a brick almost, right?
Yeah, it's hard. It's like kind of like crunchy and stuff.
Yeah. And what happens when you add water to it?
It's moist.
Yeah, and it moves better, right? Moves real easy. It's just like your body. You guys, when you sleep, you get dehydrated. Okay. I don't know if you've ever had muscle cramp in the middle of the night. or, just sitting there and all of a sudden, you put your leg underneath your chair and you get a leg cramp in your hamstring or something. That's dehydration. So when we get up in the morning, we're dehydrated. My number one thing for you is to have a big glass of water. Okay. Carry your water bottle everywhere. Take it with you to school. You guys are active at school too. You might not think that you're that active, but you are. You're getting lots of steps in. Okay. Making sure you're hydrated during your activity. Okay. And after. So the big thing for us is the more consistent we can be. If we stay hydrated, we don't have to try and play catch up, right? And we're gonna give ourselves a little bit better chance to move the way we want to move, feel better. We're not gonna, get headaches and muscle cramps and those things that are going to slow us down when we're trying to compete. We want to give ourselves the best chance to be successful. Okay. Water is number one. Water is number one. There's no replacement for water. Sports drinks are okay. We just got to be mindful of the sugar. Okay. Sugar is not the best performance enhancer. Energy drinks, I'm not going to tell you not to drink it. Not good for you. Okay. Pop, whatever, every once in a while. Pop's pretty good, but it's not. Pardon?
What about like pre-workout?
Yeah. Just only thing I'm going to say about that, I'm not going to recommend it or not recommend it. Just make sure you know what you're taking. Be smart about that. Just don't take anything just because you saw it online or something. Make sure you know what you're taking, and be safe with what you're taking. Okay, because just sometimes it just might have some kind of crap in there that you don't need. Right? But water's number one. Okay. Sports drinks, like the less sugar, the better. So like, BioSteel, Gatorade has a lot of sugar. Powerade has a lot of sugar. And depending on if you are actually dehydrated, those things can be useful. But there are products out there too that you can research that are just electrolyte packets as well. One is LMNT, it's called. And you can get it just on Amazon and stuff like that. It's good to just replace those electrolytes. All right, moving on. Man, we might have to bounce into next week with some of this stuff. Food, nutrition, the stuff that we're putting in our bodies, okay, fueling our brain. We're going to talk about fueling your performance, okay? Why do we eat? And what actually happens when we eat? What happens to the food? We're going to talk about eating for fuel, not for sport. In the fire hall, we would eat for sport sometimes, but we want to eat for fuel. We're fueling our bodies. You guys are athletes, okay? How food affects your performance, and then tips for fueling your body and your brain, okay? Why do we eat? We eat to fuel our bodies and promote recovery after activity. Okay, the food that we eat, this can maybe shift your thought about eating certain things at different times. And I'm a big fan of, I want to eat well most of the time, and then I don't care what I eat some of the time, right? And I don't eat bad, like a lot of bad stuff, but I love chips and crackers and salty things like that. I'm not a big sugar guy, but just keep in mind that what we're eating is fueling our body. You know, so if I'm eating a bag of chips before I go play, you know, before I train, how much fuel am I giving my body? Not much. Tastes delicious, right? But it's just, maybe we eat it after. Oh, we're missing somebody. Somebody just. Okay. So just think about what you're eating before and after your activity, right? When we exercise, we train, or, you know, after, so that's before. After, we actually, the food that we eat after is giving us nutrients that we used up during that activity, right? So we'll talk just quickly. I'm not going to give you like a diet plan, but just way to think a little bit differently about food, right? So maybe sometimes you'll just eat something different, and that's the whole point of me telling you all this. Okay. Our body needs, for optimal function, we need carbohydrates, we need proteins, we need fats, good fats, we need water, vitamins, and minerals. That's what our body needs and our brain needs to function optimally. Okay. Your energy requirements are going to be different based on your size, age, gender, activity intensity, all that stuff, right? It's going to be a little bit unique for you, but the actual overall requirements, your body needs these things here to function optimally. Oh man, computer is just not going great tonight. Carbohydrates are nutritional category for sugars and are the body's main source of energy. Okay. So you may hear things like, you know, no carb diet and all these, you know, keto diet and all these different diets, right? And those are fine in specific situations. But in general, this is why I'm just giving you general knowledge here. Carbohydrates are what give your body its energy, main source of energy. Okay, so good carbohydrates. And it's actually, carbohydrates are sugars. Okay, not added sugar, not bad sugar, but most carbohydrates, or some carbohydrates, are good sugars. There are some bad ones too. Okay. I wouldn't cut anything out of your diet unless you've been told by a doctor. Okay. That your body, because the only actual way, and you guys might be young for this, but the only actual way to tell what your body, if you need to do something like that, is through blood work. Get your blood tested, and then you can see what nutrients you're lacking and all that stuff. That's really the only way to tell. Otherwise, you know, your body needs carbs, proteins, fats, water, vitamins, and minerals. Okay. Your brain uses 25% of the glucose in your body, which is the usable source of energy, or usable source of sugars, of carbs. Okay. They're broken down. It uses 25% of that to function optimally. I'm not going to go through all of this because you guys can read it, but it just gives you an idea of what the types of carbohydrates are. The complex carbohydrates, simple carbohydrates. Okay, and I've kind of explained it enough here that you know, I don't want to give you, like, I'm not giving you a meal plan. I'm just giving you an awareness of what your body needs to function and what your brain needs to function. Everybody's going to be a little bit different. Okay. But generally, based on science, this is what a healthy body needs. Obviously, people are different and you might have different nutritional needs, and that's 100% normal. It's just that in general, for a healthy individual, this is what you can go by. Okay. Did anyone bring a healthy snack or anything, or what'd you bring?
I had one. I had buttered chicken.
You ate it?
Yeah, I kind of ate all my snacks during the
Banana?
call.
Did anyone bring like a granola bar or anything?
I had a banana. Oh, you're gonna like this. This is the RX bar. It's
Yeah, okay. Oh, I like those. Yeah, those are good.
I bring
Um,
like rice and chicken.
Nice. Yeah, that's good. Lots of good carbs there and protein, fueling your body. I just wanted to go over this. Has anyone like actually gone over a food label before and understand it, like what you're looking for or what you're looking at? Sorry. So again, this is just an awareness for you. When you look at this food label, so this, see up here where it says serving size. Okay, it says 1 cup. What can happen sometimes if something is like, I don't know, sometimes for something maybe unhealthy, right? Or like a big drink, you get a big drink of something, like the big, huge iced tea, you know, and it might say serving size 250 mils, but the actual can is 500 mils or 750 mils. So what they're saying is based on 1 serving means this is the recommended amount for you to drink. So a lot of times you can look at, say you look at that big, huge iced tea, you know, the peace tea or something, right? And you say, oh, you don't look at the serving size or this mils right here. You look at the calories. Oh, it's only got 110 calories in this whole big jar or this whole big can, right? 22 grams of sugar. Wow, this is not bad. But it's actually only telling you the serving size. It's not saying for the whole amount of what's in the can. So if you drink the whole thing and it's 500 mils, you're drinking twice as much. And so whatever this ingredients is here, whatever this says, is doubled. So it's just something to be aware of if you ever kind of like want to read food labels. It's something to be aware of, the serving size, big one. Okay. Calories or daily value. So it just shows you like these numbers here, the percentage of your daily, the daily recommended amount. Okay. Less than 5% is considered a little bit of the required amount for the day, and more than 15 is considered a lot, and more than the recommended, possibly more than the recommended amount for the day. All right. Number of calories derived from fat, that's the calories here. This fat right here is the good fat. Okay, there's good fats and bad fats. Okay. And the saturated fat right here is the fats that should be kind of limited. Okay, saturated and trans fat as well. Okay, a lot of times you'll hear they talk about it a lot with chips. No trans fat in these chips, right? Just something to notice. Like you can read these. If it's like 2 grams of fat, it's okay. Our body needs this fat. These saturated and trans fats are the ones that we got to be mindful of. Okay. Sodium. Sodium is not bad to, you know, in our body needs, like when we're hydrating our body, the electrolyte portion of that, our body needs salt. Okay. The sodium can show up in different ways though. Okay, sodium is the salt, but not necessarily just the table salt that you're thinking of. Okay, they can come in many different ways. So just be mindful. This has very little sodium, 3%. So, you know, it's less than the recommended value. This just shows you some of the minerals, the potassium. Here, carbohydrates, here's another one. So 26 grams of carbs. Okay, fiber. We do want to try and monitor, you know, being mindful of how much fiber we're getting. Fiber is a good thing. Okay, and sugars. So carbs are sugars. These are the good sugars for the most part. And these sugars are added sugar. Okay. Added sugar is a big one. 22 grams of sugar. So this was American. It's the only stat I could get. Average American eats 71 grams of added sugar per day. And the recommended for an adult male is 36 grams of added sugar, not carbs, not this one, but this added sugar. We're way over that in most things that we eat, especially if we're eating a lot of stuff out of packages. We got to be careful that way. If we eat real, whole, good, regular food, bananas and chicken and rice and all that stuff, there's not the chance of there being added sugar in that stuff. But, we just got to be mindful because sugar is definitely, it's extra calories and zero nutrients. And it really affects our brain too. It'll give us a big, huge energy rush. And then, it spikes our insulin levels and it's just our body's working hard if we're eating a lot of sugar all the time. Okay. So just be mindful of the sugar. It also shows you the protein amount, which is good here. And then some vitamins, but it's just, again, I just show you this because I want you to be aware that, hey, just take a look at what you're eating sometimes and maybe drink half or maybe eat half and everything, I'm not saying don't eat things because I'll never say don't eat this or don't eat that. It's just be mindful. Is what I'm eating going to help fuel my body for what I'm trying to do? Or, am I recovering? Is this going to help me recover from what I've done? Yeah. Caleb? Or no?
What do you think about like sucralose and like substitutes for like sugar? Like some stuff is like zero sugar and isn't that like
yeah. There's some good sugar replacements. Stevia leaf is one that's like a little bit more natural. The thing is too, so here's the thing. When you're adding sugar to something, you know how much you're putting in, right? So you can monitor that. And it's like, okay, I'll just add this. Does it taste good? Yeah, okay. Versus like getting the, something that's already pre-made. You don't really know, how much, but you don't really know, right? So adding your own sugar to something is probably the best. I would, if you can do that, I would recommend that. If you have something that's unsweetened, then sweeten it yourself. Then you know how much you're putting in, and you can kind of monitor that. So does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I kind of talked about this. Be mindful of what you're using, guys. This is just some information for you, okay? To be mindful. Are you fueling your body or are you just, eating for sport? And again, everything in moderation. Know your body, listen to your body, honor your individual needs. Some people, you might have, some health issues or different needs, then, obviously do those things, right? But I would be mindful of just following certain diets or things without, knowing what you're doing, and talk to a professional about that, okay? So here's just some ideas as well. You guys can read this on your own, about, fueling before, fueling after, and fueling during, okay? And a good thing for you to do too is, and I know you guys are young, but like plan for your day and your week. If you got practice, maybe ask your parents, can we plan, I'm not going to be home for dinner, so can I make sure that we have something good, that I'm replacing all the nutrients that I need, or that I burnt up, during my training, right? So I'm sure if you ask your parents, they would definitely help you out in that way. I'm not speaking for your parents, but I'm just saying. And don't say Brad said. All right. Lots of stuff we could talk about there, guys, but this is just kind of an overview. Okay. If anyone has any questions, we can talk about it, later on or off of the program here. Okay. Well, we're what are we here? We're 8 o'clock. You guys got 5 minutes, or do you want to stop? Can we go 5? Okay. All right. Just rest and recovery. Okay, so this is a big one. We put our bodies through a lot. Okay, both mentally and physically. And we want to make sure that we honor our bodies in the rest and recovery needed to perform at our best. Okay, so the definition of rest is an instant or period of relaxing or ceasing to engage in strenuous activity or in strenuous or stressful activity. Okay, so we're not doing this activity for a certain amount of time and then we do it again, or, so we're just resting from that activity. Doesn't mean we are stopping, but we're just resting, okay? Just to give our body a chance to recover. That's why when we're lifting, we lift and then we take a rest, right? 2-3 minutes between sets or whatever your rest is. Why do we do that? Why do we rest in between sets if we're lifting weights or?
Give whatever muscle you're using like some rest for the next set.
Yeah. It's kind of like a little bit of a mini recovery. Okay, so that's rest. When we're resting, giving ourselves a little bit of a break, ceasing to engage in that activity. And then recovery means that we're returning to a normal state of health, mind, or strength. Okay, so if we're injured, recovery means that we're back to where we were before we had an injury. If recovering from a workout, it means that we're back to where we were before, we kind of had that workout and we're sore, right? So it's a little bit different. Rest and recovery, they're used in the same way, but it's, rest is just ceasing from that activity, giving yourself a little bit of a rest, then you go back into it. So the body, can recover a little bit from whatever it is you're doing. And then recovery is that state where you're back to where you were before, say you have an injury, okay? Recovering from whatever it is, because we put a lot of stress on our bodies, right? So how do we get optimal rest and recovery? Well, we get a good restorative sleep. It's probably the best way, right? Proper nutrition, fueling our body. Listen to our body, be okay with shutting it down. A lot of times we have a problem with resting. Okay. We think that we need to go, but I know I'm an older guy now. I still work out all the time, but I know that I need to rest a little bit more in between my workouts because my body hasn't recovered enough yet for me to be, strong again. Because if I'm kind of half recovered and then I push myself again and then I'm only half recovered again and then I push, well, what's going to happen is I'm going to break down my body even more and more and more and more, not giving it that chance to recover, okay, from the stress that I put on it. Okay, so you're probably going to be strong. If you give yourself the proper amount of rest, recovery, you're going to be stronger than you were before. If we don't, we're not going to probably get those strength gains and those gains that we normally would, okay? Your holistic approach, so, the stuff that we're doing here with the mind, body, and brain, connecting everything together, we're one whole person. And then self-care. Okay, we're going to talk about the self-care just quickly here because I know that I'm going over a little bit. Self-care, you ever hear when you're on the plane, put your own air mask on first before assisting others? Have you heard that before on the plane? Yeah. So it's the same thing here. Sometimes, we need to look and take care of ourselves first before we, help others or do what we need to do. I really need to take some time and just come down from whatever it is that I've been doing. Okay, it's not selfish for you to take care of yourself. Okay, a lot of times we can think it's selfish, I should be doing this or I should be doing that. Where we need to do that. We need to acknowledge that we're our own person. You're young. You guys you are your own person, and you need to have that time to yourself to just come from all the stuff that you're doing. Okay, best recovery, like unplug. Just leave your phone alone for a little bit. Okay. Chance to connect with our brains. Well, practice this. Present with yourself. Get some down. Use a visualization that we have, right? Try some meditation if you feel like it. I know some of you, but some of you are a bit older. There's some good use in timer. I use it every day. Almost 95% of my days I use that. But there's lots of ways you can do that just to kind of come down. The breathing is the big one, to be present. And being present, right? Being present means like making sure we kind of say, my head is where my feet are. So standing in the batter's box, right? I'm present in the moment in the batter's box, and not or anything else about what the task at hand right now. My head is where I'm mound, I'm pitching, right? So same thing. Be present with yourself. Just try and, just close your eyes a couple practice, just be set. We do that in the batter's box. See the play time, they step out of the box, right? Even if it's one, right? Take a nice deep breath, set myself, and step, right? Reset. You can do that on the field. You can do it off the field. Okay. I told you about 5 for 50 breathe. 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out, 5 times. And this one's like 4, 6, 8. 4 seconds in, 6 seconds hold, and 8-second breath. Okay, and do that a few times when you're trying to just kind of be present. Okay, or go get a good sleep. 3 breaths. Go outside. Leave your phone. Sometimes what happens is, even when we go, we think we're doing something that's good. We're able to do things and get outside and just go for a walk or whatever it is, right? If we have our phone in our pocket, our brain knows that our phone's in our pocket. I can feel it in my leg. I can feel it there. But so what am I not doing? Even if my phone's in my pocket? Probably not. What if my phone is just at home and I just go and just kind of, just even go outside. You don't go for a walk. Just leave your phone for a few minutes. You'll be amazed at the things that, your brain will start doing. Okay. And just remember, you guys, you have everything you need inside already to be as successful as you ever want to be. Okay. These are all just things that can help you get things that you want in your life, right? That can help you give yourself the chance to be successful. It can help you set yourself apart from your competition. Because there's, there are people that don't know these things, right? And now that you know it, there's a different way to do it to get a different result. If you're not the results you want, now you have something to, hey, I'm not getting a good sleep. I haven't been sleeping. Oh, well, I'm going to try this breathing. Or I'm going to try this. I'm going to, I'm my phone off early. Okay, those types of things. So now that you can't not know it. All right. And that's the exciting part. It's exciting to be able to share this with you. And these are is. These are just tools for you that now you can access if you need them. Right. All right. Thanks for staying with us, guys. Extra 5 minutes. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Brad,
Speak?
have a good one.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Too. Okay, boys. Have a good one.